This blockbuster offseason is far from over, though the timeframe in which major trades are made has largely passed. It will be quite some time before we see how quarterback situations with Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson are resolved, and by and large owners have already spent their money for 2021. However, it continues to look ever so likely that Julio Jones is dealt, with the Falcons now months into their efforts to create some sort of a robust market for the future Hall of Famer. It's clear he is not in the team's short or long-term plans, and that the organization has decided that peddling his contract is the means by which to create ample cap space to have a functioning operating baseline with which to sign draft picks and have some cap left over to add depth to account for injuries. Rather than reset the entire course of the franchise by undergoing a thorough rebuild and casting off descending assets at various positions, this team is trying to sell itself as a quasi-contender by largely keeping the band together under new management, while trying to find some significant level of compensation for an aging receiver making $15 million this season after years of battling injuries and coming off back-to-back drafts overloaded with young, cheap talent at that very position. Discarding Jones after June 1 allows the Falcons to achieve the salary cap relief they so desperately covet, but that hardly ensures a healthy return. A younger and healthier DeAndre Hopkins moved for basically a second-round pick a year ago, with interested teams knowing he would demand a new contract, and while Jones is a fixed cost at this time, $15 million is hardly chump change. In fact, at $15, Jones will take home the 10th most money of any receiver in the NFL, coming off a year in which he played just 9 games and continued a trend in recent years in which he has been often on the injury report and when he does play, frequently is not at 100%. Sure, 85% of Jones is still a star, but there are ample concerns about how his body is trending, and entering his age 32 season, you can understand why teams aren't falling all over themselves to throw assets at the Falcons. Would owner Arthur Blank be willing to eat a chunk of the contract, maybe even a significant chunk, to facilitate maximum trade compensation? Perhaps, but he needs maximum cap space relief from this transaction as well, and it will be difficult to move anyone else from this Frankenstein roster to achieve such relief elsewhere, which is why this stalwart is available in the first place. This just smells like something Bill Belichick would do. This has an obvious Patriots feel to it, with a player of this magnitude out there for a likely modest return. For what it's worth, Vegas seems to keep coming up with the same half-dozen teams or so as the favorites to land Jones, though several of those suggestions don't actually pass my smell test.